All right, here we are. Welcome, veterans. Thanks for joining us today. So my name is Stacey Allen. I'm one of the senior veteran coaches here at VA Claims Insider. And sitting beside me is actually my daughter. She's a fellow veteran coach, Cassie Allen. And today we're going to talk about 5 PTSD misconceptions. Okay, but before we get into it, a little bit about myself. I am a Gulf War vet. I served from 87 to 93 and kind of went on, with my life after that. And 24 years after I got out of the military, I filed my first disability claim. And through the help of VA Claims Insider, they helped me get to the rating that I felt I should be. So, and because of that, I retired from my job with the federal government and came on with them as a coach. And so here I am today. So that's a little bit about me. Cassie, you want to intro yourself?
Yeah, thanks. So like you said, I'm his daughter. Very similarly to him, as soon as he told me about what he was doing, how he was helping veterans and how it was impacting them and in turn impacting his own life, I said, I want to be a part of that. So here I am, happy every day to just be helping veterans and working through the claims process with them.
All right, fantastic. So like I said, today we're going to talk about 5 PTSD misconceptions. So what is PTSD? Well, simply it's a mental health condition and it's triggered by a terrifying event, either experiencing it or witnessing it, okay? And what differs PTSD from other mental health conditions or diagnoses is a PTSD diagnosis requires, in the VA's eyes, requires a stressor event, right? So if a veteran is filing for a PTSD disability, you have to be able to show the VA that there was in fact a stressor event causing that condition. Okay. Before we get into it a little bit more, Cassie, can you give the number for the hotline?
Yeah, so if you're in a crisis, you can call the hotline. It's 1-800-273-8255, and you're going to press 1 to talk to somebody.
All right. So let's jump into it here. So number 1, I thought you had to experience combat to apply for PTSD. So that's not true. That's not true. There are several things, several different stressors that can cause PTSD. One of them is combat. Okay, so example of a combat PTSD stressor, enemy ambush, in Vietnam, maybe an IED, an improvised explosive device in Iraq. Maybe you were on an aircraft carrier and witnessed a plane crash. That could be one, okay? Or even seeing another service member killed in action. So those are all combat PTSD stressors, okay?
And then we have some non-combat PTSD stressors to include serious car accidents, training accidents, military sexual trauma, victims or witnesses of rape, as well as physical assault, domestic battery, robbery, mugging, stalking, or harassment. So the VA has really relaxed their standards for evidence needed to prove an in-service assault, and they'll now accept recorded markers. Markers are strong evidence, such as signs or events or circumstances which can validate your claim. And some of those markers can include a decrease in work performance, requests for a transfer, pregnancy tests or STD tests, maybe substance abuse, or just an onset of sudden unexplained depression or anxiety or panic attacks. So a lot of time when we think about military trauma, the default is typically to assume that it's sexual assault. But truly, there's many forms of personal assault outside of MST. And if proven, they can entitle veterans to disability compensation.
All right. So number 2, I don't want to risk being rated at 100% because it comes with work restrictions. Well, let me tell you, nothing can be further from the truth. So today I am 100% permanent and total. And I work 100% of the time, it seems sometimes. But I am gainfully employed. I work full time. So that is not a thing. Now, the VA does have a program called TDIU. It's Temporary Disability Individual Unemployability. If you are in that program, and there's a lot of red tape to get in that program, it does come with work restrictions. Okay, so what that is, if you are rated between 60 and 90% and meeting certain criteria in that, you can apply to that program and be compensated. If you're accepted into it, be compensated at the 100% level. You're still actually, 60, 70, 80, or 90%. You're just being compensated at the 100% level. So if you're in that program, there are some work restrictions. There is an income cap. And if you go over that cap, you can be removed from that program. Okay. But being 100% scheduler, there are no work restrictions, zero. Okay. So that is one of the myths busted here today. Number 3, they're going to take away my guns. Okay. So that's not true either. I'll share with everyone. I am 70% rated for PTSD. And I have a concealed carry permit. I'm also a retired federal law enforcement officer. And I can most assuredly tell you that there are hundreds, thousands of law enforcement officers that deal with PTSD. So they obviously carry weapons. So you will not lose your guns with a PTSD diagnosis. Now, if you are found incompetent, that might be, another thing that you're going to have to consider. And there are certain state laws that differ. But the main reason that people lose their gun rights or their gun ownership rights is if they're found mentally incompetent and are a threat to themselves or to others, obviously. All right. So, but just that PTSD diagnosis, you're not going to lose your guns. Okay.
So maybe you're worried that the VA is not going to believe you, or you're a man and you think that maybe only women can apply for PTSD due to MST. That's another common worry that we can kind of help alleviate. So again, these things just aren't true. Now, nearly 40% of veterans who disclose MST to the VA are men. And while we can validate your fears in telling your story only to be denied, we utilize the SEM method. What that is a strong strategy, education on your situation, and then credible medical evidence. That's going to allow you to create a fully developed claim and give you a higher probability of success. You really can only be rated on what you vocalize, so tell your story. It's not your fault that any of these things happen to you, and there's no shame in pursuing the claim. Another common worry is that people are going to judge you. But you're protected by law, and you're under no obligation to share your PTSD diagnosis with anyone, including your employer. So HIPAA regulations restrict access to individuals' private medical information. Many veterans who have PTSD suffer in silence, but you don't have to let the stigma around mental health pressure you away from seeking the help and compensation that you deserve.
All right, so those are 5 common misconceptions about PTSD. What I'd like to talk about now for just a few minutes is how the VA rates PTSD or mental health in general, actually. And I'm gonna go through the different levels, if you will, or the different compensation rates, the different ratings that the VA uses. Okay, so if a mental health condition has been formally diagnosed, but the symptoms aren't severe enough to either interfere with your occupational and social functioning, or they don't require continuous medication, you might get a service connection, but it's going to be rated at a 0%. Okay. So if you have some mild symptoms and it's controlled by medication, that's a 10% rating. As the symptoms, the severity of the symptoms get worse, the rating obviously goes up. We see an average of 50, 70% ratings for a lot of our clients that are filing for PTSD or for other mental health conditions in general. Now, when you get up to total and social occupational impairment, and those symptoms involve, grossly inappropriate behavior or persistent danger of hurting yourself or others, or the inability to perform activities of daily living, including just minimal maintenance of your hygiene. That's 100% level rating there. So it has to be pretty serious to get into that level. But those are some general guidelines for the ratings that the VA uses. So that is really what we wanted to share with you today, were those misconceptions that we hear on a regular basis from our veterans. And just to recap, you don't have to, have been in combat to have PTSD. You don't have to risk work restrictions if you're rated at 100%. You don't have to worry about them taking your guns away. You don't have to worry about the VA not believing you. Like Cassie said, they've really lightened the restrictions on some of the things that they used to do, especially with MST cases. Okay. And as far as people judging you, man, just don't worry about it. Don't worry about what other people think. You take care of yourself, right? Take care of yourself, take care of your family.
So if any of you feel like you're dealing with any of these types of symptoms, reach out, get signed up at vaclaimsinsider.com, hit that start button. Right away, you'll get signed up with a coach. They'll help you with a smart strategy, and they'll get you going with this claim.
That's fantastic, Cassie. So the other thing that we are able to do here at VA Claims Insider is connect you with vetted medical and psychological professionals that can help take you through that process and put your issues on paper that you can use for evidence. So like Cassie said at the beginning, it's all about strategy, education, and medical evidence. And that's the secret sauce in filing your claims and winning your claims with the VA. So thank you everybody for paying attention and joining us today, and we'll see you soon.
See you later, vets.